a memo this week because I wanted everyone to look at the example I gave. Moving forward, we will have memos again. I'll probably go between memos and sort of email responses like this week, but I really want y'all to get this down because again, you're going to see this throughout your career, and it's something that you can once you get down, you'll be a very valuable addition to any workplace you go to. So looking at first, let me discuss last week, and then we can discuss this week. Last week's discussion, I was very I enjoyed reading everyone's responses and the conversation between each other. The focus of last week was on the assessment of emergency plans, and I asked two parts to look at your jurisdiction's emergency management homeland security plans, see what is publicly available. Please list those that you find. So that was the first task. Tell me what emergency plans are posted. Now in Virginia, based on the Code of Virginia law, every city emergency management office or every city in jurisdiction in Virginia has to have an emergency operations plan, an EOP. A part of this week's reading, you saw the Commonwealth of Virginia Emergency Operations Plan. That is required by code, and that is an example from the statewide perspective of what each locality is required to have. So some of you all who you're the emergency management director for a Virginia locality should have been able to find the emergency operations plan. Unfortunately, some localities make it hard to find or don't have it posted. So I wanted, in that first question, I just wanted to see what plans are posted. Other types of emergency management homeland security plans you might have found are mitigation plans. A lot of localities post their mitigation strategies related to how they will prevent and most likely a flooding scenario. And a mitigation plan is a requirement of a lot of the DHS FEMA mitigation grant programs. Other plans you might have seen a public health emergency response plan or something of that sort. Again, some localities view these things as sensitive and they do not post them, but I think there should be some level of information for citizens to look at on the state or local level. And then I wanted you to do a critical assessment of whether the plans followed the FEMA model and also the model used by Virginia in the Commonwealth of Virginia Emergency Operations Plan. FEMA CPG 101 is really the basis for emergency management planning that is used across the country. So it shows the format, the process, the information that needs to be found in these EOPs, the Emergency Operations Plan. And conceptually, it demonstrates the unified effort of using all the capabilities that we have to respond to a disaster. So it focuses on the emergency support functions, grouping agencies based on the skills of the employees, the assets that they possess to be able to respond to various different threats and hazards. Also a part of the emergency operation plan is identifying what those threats and hazards are, whether they're natural disasters or man-made disasters. So these are key components of the EOP process, and I wanted you to emergency operation plan development, and I wanted you to assess whether your locality plan replicated the guidance on the federal and state level. And so in some cases that was the case. In other cases you all found it lacking. And again, if you were emergency management director, this would be one of your tasks to assess the planning, improve the planning in order to ensure that the locality is ready to respond using all of their capabilities and assets that they have. For this week, the question, we turn our attention to response, week 6. Again, using kind of real-time reflection on what is occurring across the country. The city manager, asks you as the emergency management director, from a response standpoint, how do we prepare and fully leverage our capabilities to deal with all these things that have happened elsewhere but could happen where your jurisdiction is. And so that's a part of the question. And then one of the questions relates to Hurricane Katrina. Part of your work for this week is looking at that video related to Hurricane Katrina. Hurricane Katrina happened in 2005. At that time was the worst natural disaster to ever impact the country. Over 100 people died, major infrastructure damage, and it really demonstrated the lack of coordination and preparation on the local, state, and federal level. The city of New Orleans, the state of Louisiana, and the federal government. So there's a lot of lessons that learned from that event, and I wanted you to identify what lessons can be learned from that event that can be applied to the preparedness for your locality. So again, that goes back to what I said at the beginning. Anytime an event occurs, whether it's 2005, Hurricane Katrina, 2001, September 11th, terrorist attack, as a discipline, we constantly find ways in which to improve, to enhance our preparedness, because that next event is just hours, days, possibly minutes away. So whatever we can learn in the interim helps us to better prepare and save lives and prevent damage to critical infrastructure and property. So think critically about this week's discussion board post. A lot of y'all, again, have posted it. It was already due. But that's the intent of this week. Again, and this is where we're building off of the entire course, right? We talked about preparedness for about 2 weeks, assessing what threats and hazards we have, and now, then we talked about planning. How do we plan to deal with those threats and hazards? Now we're talking about response. When something bad happens, when it hits the fan, how do we deal with responding effectively? We got one more week related to response, and then we have the midterms. I'll probably post a specific video related to the midterms and hopefully provide a guidance document. But again, I encourage everyone to follow the syllabus, do the readings, similar to the quiz, which was very easy or minor. There won't be any surprises based on what is in the syllabus. I'm not going to ask you to know something that I haven't presented, whether in the course documents, in the syllabus, or the textbook reading so far. So that's all I have for right now. Complete the discussion board post by Sunday. I'll be posting some more information and guidance for this upcoming week, and also looking ahead, preparation for our midterm, which is scheduled for the week of October 16th through October 22nd. So thank you all very much. Hope you have a good and safe weekend, and feel free to email me if you have any questions. Thanks so much.